Chapter 2548 Xianxia's strength in the blink of an eye. Another dozen moves had been exchanged. Bang! Prison guarding patriarch's imprint. Couldn't beat it, and he was sent flying by Saint Ancestor Bloodheart. His body turned illusory as if he would fall apart at any moment. Not good. The Heaven Realm beings who witnessed all of this had extremely ugly expressions, and they revealed looks of despair. Could it be that no one could stop the sacred ancestor Murderheart? Was the Heaven Realm destined to be defeated and destroyed? They were unwilling, but their strength was limited. Prison guarding old ghost completely disappear. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart roared, and his aura grew stronger as he kept attacking prison suppression patriarch. Bang! The prison guarding patriarch was H.I.T. again. His body almost fell apart, and his breath was weak. The prison guarding patriarch had no choice but to summon the prison guarding steel to resist sacred ancestor Bloodheart. However, this way the sky-breaking army would have no opponents. Roar! The giant of the sky-breaking army roared and charged at the prison suppression patriarch. The seal of the prison guarding patriarch and the prison guarding steel combined to resist the giant formed by sacred ancestor Bloodheart and the sky-breaking army, but he was still not their match. He was completely suppressed. Boom! Boom! The prison-suppressing steel was constantly sent flying and shaking. A voice came from the prison-suppressing steel which shocked everyone. The prison-suppressing steel could not hold on any longer. A crack appeared on it. Break! Break! I'll completely break you. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart sneered. Everyone in the Heaven Realm had a heavy heart. Lu Ming, the ancestral dragon, sighed. Lu Ming had not broken through successfully. Ancestral dragon, your defeat is certain. The non-human divine ancestor sneered. Lu Ming was still sitting cross-legged on the peak of the dragon sovereign peak. The aura on his body was fluctuating as he focused on cultivation. Suddenly, a shadow flashed in the sky and a figure appeared. It was Xianxia. Lu Ming, I hope you can make it in time. I will buy you some time. Xianxia muttered, then turned around and disappeared. On the battlefield of Two World City, sacred ancestor Bloodheart and the sky-breaking army worked together. The prison-suppressing steel was H.I.T. few more times and more cracks appeared on it. The prison-suppressing steel had been damaged and was weaker. It couldn't withstand the attacks of sacred ancestor Bloodheart and the sky-breaking army. Shatter, shatter for me. Prison-guarding old man, I will make the only evidence that you have left in this world disappear. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart laughed. His body was covered in blood-red light, which turned into blood-red sword light and kept slashing at the prison-suppressing steel. At the same time, he controlled the blood bead to burst out with rays of blood light with amazing power. However, at this moment, endless black light suddenly appeared above her head and turned into a huge black lotus, which pressed down on her. You want to attack me? You're looking for death. Dick! Saint Ancestor Bloodheart shouted. He waved his hand and a blood-red sword light shot out, hitting the black lotus. Boom! With a violent boom, the black lotus was sent flying, but it didn't collapse as Saint Ancestor Bloodheart had expected. The black lotus flew backward, and in the next moment, a figure appeared on the lotus. It was a young woman in a long black dress. She was unparalleled and beautiful. He blocked it. He actually blocked Saint Ancestor Bloodheart's attack. Many people were shocked. The sacred ancestor Bloodheart was a martial G.O.D. Even a casual strike from him was not something ordinary people could block. Even Demi-G.O.D.s would find it difficult to block. However, sacred ancestor Bloodheart's attack had been blocked. What? Saint Ancestor Bloodheart was also taken aback. A cold light flashed in her eyes, and her blood chi condensed into a shocking blood sword that slashed toward the black lotus. Scatter! With a crisp sound, the black lotus flower suddenly spread out into black petals. Each petal turned into a beam of sword chi, which kept attacking Saint Ancestor Bloodheart's blood sword. Buzz! And NBSP whoosh. It was as if divine swords were colliding with each other, and the sound of swords clashing resounded through the earth. Although the black sword chi kept shattering the blood-red sword light from Saint Ancestor Bloodheart's attack weakened a little after each black sword chi was shattered. When the last black sword chi collapsed, sacred ancestor Bloodheart's blood-red sword light was less than 10% of its original power, and it was easily blocked by the woman. I blocked it again. This time the Saint Ancestor Bloodheart is serious. Many people were shocked. Who was this woman? She was so powerful that she could block Saint Ancestor Bloodheart's attack. I know. It's Xianxia, Lu Ming's wife, Xianxia. What? Lu Ming's wife is so powerful. Countless people were deeply shocked. Many people were aware of Lu Ming's combat strength. He was able to fight against 2 demi-G. DS of the non-human race. He was unparalleled and brilliant. However, his wife was even more terrifying now. She could actually fight with the sacred ancestor Bloodheart. This was too shocking. How is that possible? He's only a demi-G. How could she have blocked sacred ancestor Bloodheart's attack? The number 1 king and the other old kings were all stunned. They could tell that Xianxia was a demi-G. But his combat power was far above theirs. That's right, Xianxia's cultivation had reached the demi-G. D realm. He had been on and out of the Yellow Springs Island for almost 200 years. With the help of the life fruit, Xianxia had reached the demi-G. D realm. Moreover, Xianxia's combat strength was far beyond ordinary people. Back then, when Xianxia was a 5-star heavenly emperor, he could already suppress a peak heavenly emperor. Now that he had become a demi-G. His combat strength naturally far exceeded other demi-G. Yes. They weren't the only ones who were shocked. The non-human divine ancestor and ancestral dragon were equally shocked. She's actually this strong? On the battlefield, Huang Ling and Qiu Yu looked at the magnificent Xianxia inside. Kill. Xianxia had blocked 2 of Saint Ancestor Bloodheart's moves in a row, which further stimulated his killing intent and ruthlessness. I.e. roared madly and charged towards Xianxia, completely ignoring the prison-suppressing steel. The prison-suppressing steel and the giant of the heaven-breaking army were engaged in a fierce battle. Bang! Bang! Xianxia exchanged a few more blows with sacred ancestor Bloodheart. Although Xianxia was at a disadvantage and was forced to retreat, he still managed to block sacred ancestor Bloodheart's attack. Many people exclaimed in admiration. They knew that Xianxia's battle power was truly shocking. He had already said the other demi-G. Yes. Although he wasn't a match for sacred ancestor Bloodheart yet, he could already fight her. Any other demi-G. Would have been instantly killed by sacred ancestor Bloodheart. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart went even crazier. He threw the blood-red bead in his hand. This blood-red bead was a weapon that said the Heaven Dao soldiers. It was controlled by sacred ancestor Bloodheart, and its power was terrifying. Break! Xianxia shouted as she formed a seal with her fingers. Countless black lotus flowers appeared around her. These black lotus flowers turned into sword lights and slashed at Saint Ancestor Bloodheart. 23. However, at this moment, the void split open and a milky white sword light slashed toward the evil demon. This sword light was filled with holy light and had extremely shocking power. The evil demon was careless and was cut by the sword light, and one of its wings was directly cut off. The demon roared. The place where he had been cut off kept emitting burning sounds. It seemed that the sword light had a restraining effect on him. Holy light. What's going on? Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart was furious. He's just a low-level evil demon. If it was before, I could turn him into ashes with a breath. A cold and arrogant voice was heard. Then a figure suddenly appeared in the void. It was a beautiful woman in a white dress. She looked exactly like Xianxia. Xianxia. Hey guys. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart looked at Xianxia, then at Xianxia, and the surprise in his eyes deepened. I didn't expect that you would be able to advance to the demi-G. Realm so quickly after devouring the memories of your previous life. You've surprised me. Xianxia didn't look at Holy Ancestor Bloodheart. Instead he looked at Xianxia and transmitted his voice. I won't be left behind by you. I won't let you do that thing alone. Xianxia replied. Oh really? You're pretty confident, aren't you? But let's deal with this guy first. Xianxia chuckled, and a milky white holy light radiated from his body, as if death had descended to the world. Holy and pure. Kill, I don't care how many of you come, I'll kill you all. Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart roared as he controlled the demon and himself to attack Xianxia and Xianxia. Xianxia pressed her hand down and countless white lotus flowers appeared in the air. They turned into sword chi and slashed at Saint Ancestor Bloodheart. She was also a demi-G. And her combat strength was no weaker than Xianxia's. Moreover, her attack style was very similar to Xianxia's. When Xianxia made his move, Xianxia also made his move. The two of them joined forces to light against Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart. Boom, boom, boom. The battle in the air was intense. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart was being held back by Xianxia and Xianxia. For a moment the two sides were evenly matched. I blocked it. And NBSP countless people on the battlefield were shocked by this scene. However, both of them had different thoughts. And NBSP the evil D race was shocked and unable to accept this. On the other hand, the Heaven Realm's side was ecstatic. Haha, I didn't expect that there would be such an expert in the Heaven Realm. Good. Venerable Sovereign Rebellion laughed, while the number one king's face was extremely ugly. Xianxia and Xianxia were far more powerful than ordinary demi-G. Yes, and they were able to resist Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart together. This kind of strength was too terrifying. In the Heaven Realm, it could be said that he was the strongest expert after the Ancestral Dragon. However, they had never heard of him before. However, it didn't matter. As long as it was from the Heaven Realm, it was line. Moke, it seems that things are not under your control. Zulong also laughed out loud. This was an unexpected surprise. Initially, he had pinned all his hopes on Lu Ming. He had never expected that there would be two such powerhouses in the Heaven Realm. As long as they could hold off the Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart and wait for Lu Ming to make a breakthrough, they would have a greater chance of winning. The evil God world and the Heavenly Realm had been at war for countless years, and it was possible that it would be broken. How is this possible? The outsider Sacred Ancestor roared, his heart filled with shock. How could there be two such experts in the Heaven Realm? They looked like sisters, but their combat strength was so strong. In the past there was no news at all. It was as if they had appeared out of thin air. Lu Ming's wife. Lu Ming again. The non-human divine ancestor was furious. The battle on the battlefield had entered a stalemate. The difference in strength between the two sides was not big and the battle was brutal. People were dying at every moment. On the sinkhole battlefield, the Tan Longhorn and company were fighting non-human kings, but I was difficult to determine a victor. Suppress it for this lord. Dandan transformed into her true form and she was extremely huge. Countless symbols filled the air and her battle power was shocking. She fought two non-human kings by herself and she wasn't at a disadvantage at all. In fact, she even had a slight advantage. I didn't expect this old turtle to be so strong after breaking through to the demi-G. D realm. Not far away, the Tan Longhorn beetle thought unhappily. Lu Ming had been cultivating at the Dragon Sovereign Peak. Boom. Suddenly, a shocking aura surged from Lu Ming's body. He opened his eyes. A long spear flew out and stabbed at Saint Ancestor Bloodheart's palm. Thump. The spear hit Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart's palm with a loud boom. The spear was knocked away, but Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart was also forced back. A hole had appeared in his palm and blood light was wriggling inside. His eyes were filled with shock. One had to know that he was burning his divine power and his fighting power had recovered to its peak. However, the spear had injured his palm. His blood-red eyes looked forward. In front of them the void cracked open. A tall and slender young man in a black robe appeared behind Xianxia. He wrapped his arm around Xianxia's slender waist and pulled him into his arms. This young man was Lu Ming. He had refined 90% of the stones on him and finally stabilized his cultivation at the Heavenly Emperor realm. Just then, Saint Ancestor Bloodheart had detonated his divine weapon and destroyed Xianxia and Xianxia's dark holy light cages. He rushed over without hesitation. With his current cultivation he could reach Two World City in an instant from Dragon Sovereign Peak. Little Qing, are you okay? Lu Ming asked with concern. Lu Ming, you're finally here. Xianxia smiled. Little Qing, take this fruit of life. A fruit of life appeared in Lu Ming's hand and he fed it to Xianxia. Xianxia took it and swallowed it in one gulp. His body glowed with a bright light. Life fruit you still have. Sking Lu Ming, take out the fruit of life. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart's eyes were filled with greed. Do you want it? I have a lot of them. Lu Ming looked at Saint Ancestor Bloodheart and waved his hand. 9 life fruits appeared in his hand and one led toward Xianxia. Xianxia caught the fruit of life without hesitation and swallowed it. Her injuries were healing rapidly. So many life fruits. Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart was shocked. Chapter 2554 Suppression. With the formation of the sky-breaking army broken, it was difficult for them to gather their power together, and their fighting strength was greatly reduced. Nearly 100,000 people retreated in a frenzy, their hearts filled with shock. Their heaven-crushing army had formed a great formation and was invincible. Other than the martial Zhou Xian, they feared no one. However, they were defeated by Xianxia and Xianxia in just a few moves. Don't panic. Gather and set up the formation. The commander of the sky-breaking army roared. He was a Zhou Xian, and he wanted to gather the sky-breaking army again to form a formation to fight against Xianxia and the others. However, as soon as he finished speaking, 5 black lotus flowers appeared around him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The lotus spun and its petals turned into sharp sword qi flying toward him. The sky-breaking army's commander's expression changed as he swung his axe to block. After a series of clashing sounds, the heaven-crushing army's commander's body trembled violently. The Heaven Dao soldier's battle-axe in his hand was chipped, and his chest had been pierced through by a sword qi. He was severely injured and spat out a large mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with shock. How could he be so strong? He was extremely frightened. After all, he was a demi-Zhou Xian and was known as an unrivaled master. However, he was severely injured after exchanging a single blow with Xianxia. The next moment, Xianxia appeared beside him. Not good. The heaven-crushing army's commander was shocked and quickly retreated, but it was too late. A sword light flashed and his head flew high into the air. In a battle of the same level, he had no way of fighting back against Xianxia. Kill. Xianxia's eyes were cold and merciless. With a wave of his hand, endless sword qi rushed towards the heaven-breaking army. The sky-breaking army originally had 100,000 overlords, 5,000 heavenly emperors and 95,000 great emperors. However, they were now vulnerable to Xianxia. Wherever the sword qi passed, the sky-breaking army's experts were pierced through and killed. No matter if it was a heavenly emperor or a great emperor, it was the same. Even a peak heavenly emperor couldn't block Xianxia's attack. At the same time, Xianxia also made his move. His attack style was very similar to Xianxia's. Wherever the milky white sword light passed, a large number of sky-breaking army masters were killed. It was a one-sided massacre like harvesting wheat. The experts of the sky-breaking army were all killed. No and it. The number 1 king of the non-human race, the older kings, felt their hearts bleed. The heaven-crushing army was the strongest army of the evil Zhou Xian race. Chapter 2554 Killing the Martial Zhou Xian. The non-human divine ancestor used all his strength and finally seized the opportunity to break free from the ancestral dragon's obstruction and charge toward Lu Ming. Boom! The non-human divine ancestor threw a punch. A golden fist crossed the boundless void and headed toward Lu Ming with overwhelming power. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. He shook the Great Desolation spear and thrust it out. As soon as he thrust his spear, the non-human divine ancestor's fist arrived and collided with Lu Ming's spear radiance. With a deafening boom, the Great Desolation spear shook continuously. A terrifying force was transmitted, causing Lu Ming to take a few steps back. A divine artifact. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The non-human divine ancestor was wearing a golden glove on his fist. It was obvious that this pair of gloves was a divine weapon, a weapon specially used by the martial Zhou Xian, and it was extremely powerful. Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart's divine weapon had self-destructed, but the non-human divine ancestor's was still there. Thus, his battle power was slightly stronger than sacred ancestor Bloodheart's, who had burned his divine power. Kill! The non-human divine ancestor bellowed. His fists were like two golden suns as he punched toward Lu Ming. Moke him your opponent. Now that the ancestral dragon had arrived, he would not allow the divine ancestor to attack Lu Ming. Al stepped out with his dragon claws and fought the divine ancestor. At the same time, a dragon horn floated above the ancestral dragon's head. It kept slashing out like a saber. It was also a divine weapon. The ancestral dragon's combat power wasn't any weaker than the non-human divine ancestors. He couldn't take it lightly and had to fight the ancestral dragon with all his might. Boom. Room. The non-human divine ancestor exchanged a few more blows with the ancestral dragon, while Lu Ming seized the opportunity to continue refining sacred ancestor Bloodheart. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart kept erupting, trying to break through Lu Ming's defense. Moke, save me, save me. Sacred Ancestor Bloodheart roared. The non-human divine ancestor's face was extremely cold. He exchanged a few blows with the ancestral dragon in a frenzy. He gritted his teeth and suddenly changed his move. He risked taking a blow from the ancestral dragon and then rushed toward Lu Ming. Buzz. In the blink of an eye, the non-human divine ancestor closed in on Lu Ming and threw hundreds of punches. Lu Ming waved the Great Desolation spear to block it. The non-human divine ancestor's strength was indeed astonishing after hundreds of collisions. Lu Ming had to resist the non-human divine ancestor and ultimately didn't have the extra energy to refine the sacred ancestor Bloodheart. As a result, the sacred ancestor Bloodheart managed to escape. Moke, you crazy! The ancestral dragon roared and charged at the non-human divine ancestor. I'm crazy. The ones who are crazy are you and that old fellow Genu. Both of you are stubborn and overconfident. The non-human divine ancestor laughed bitterly and used his remaining power to attack the golden scowl. He was going all out. When he saw Lu Ming's combat strength increase and sacred ancestor Bloodheart killed, he knew that he would not be able to survive. Lu Ming and the ancestral dragon had joined forces. He would definitely die. That was why he had attacked the golden sigil crazily. His original plan was to flatten the heaven realm and kill the ancestral dragon before slowly tearing the golden scowl. This time he didn't succeed and was stopped by the ancestral dragon. At the same time, Lu Ming had arrived and joined forces to attack the non-human divine ancestor. The non-human divine ancestor had just been severely injured by the two of them and was extremely weak. He wasn't their match at all. After a few moves, Lu Ming punched a hole through the divine ancestor's body and he was torn apart by Zilong's dragon claws. Ancestral dragon, I'll be waiting for you below. The non-human divine ancestor laughed before the ancestral dragon controlled his horn to split his head in half. Thus, the non-human divine ancestor and the sacred ancestor Bloodheart had been completely annihilated. It was supposed to be a huge victory, but there was no joy on the ancestral dragon's face. Instead, he looked a little dejected. AI. Looking at the torn golden seal, the ancestral dragon sighed helplessly. Senior, this is... Lu Ming was filled with doubts and was about to ask. Boom. At this moment, an extremely terrifying aura came from the crack in the golden scowl. Even with Lu Ming's current cultivation base, he felt frightened and could not resist this aura. Zulong and Lu Ming retreated rapidly. What's that? At that moment, Lu Ming's eyes suddenly widened in shock. That was because there were two beams of light behind the crack. They seemed to be a pair of eyes and they were bright and terrifying. Lu Ming's heart beat faster as he faced the two light orbs. It was as if he was an ant facing a giant beast from the ancient times. I've been discovered. A great calamity will soon befall us. Zulong sighed. However, the two beams of light flickered a few times and disappeared. Senior, what is that? Lu Ming asked. The powerful beings outside have their eyes on this place. However, they won't be able to enter for the time being. Let's go and exterminate the remaining Kvil D tribe members first before we talk about this in detail. Zilong said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Although he was curious, he was not in a hurry. He took a step forward and charged toward the battlefield in Two Work City. As for the ancestral dragon, he headed towards the battlefield of the ultimate. Chapter 2557 Great Victory, Greater Crisis. Lu Ming and Xianxia looked at each other and smiled. Then they tore the void apart and left. Escape, escape, escape. A few non-human kings were fleeing in a frenzy. However, a figure suddenly appeared in front of them. He's the one. When the kings saw this figure, their expressions changed drastically. This figure was naturally Lu Ming. Lu Ming's appearance here meant that the divine ancestor of the non-human race was in grave danger. Everyone, I'll send you on your way, Lu Ming said coldly. Then he waved his hand and a spear radiance burst out. A few old kings of the non-human race wanted to escape, but they could not withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. A few old kings were pierced by Lu Ming's spear radiance and died on the spot. Lu Ming did not stop after killing a few of the old kings. He tore through the void and left. He specialized in hunting non-human experts above peak Heavenly Emperor because they could tear the void apart and travel through different worlds. It was very difficult to pursue them. However, in Lu Ming's hands these people could not escape. Lu Ming kept shuttling through the void, killing the alien races, powerhouses who were at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm and above. As a result, the experts in the Heaven realm were free to join the army of the Heaven realm and pursue the alien races. One-sided, it had become completely one-sided. When the Heaven realm's peak experts and demigi DS entered the battlefield, it became a complete massacre. A large number of foreign heavenly emperors, great emperors, true emperors, void emperors and quasi-emperors were slaughtered. This massacre continued for several days. Almost all the great beings of the other races had been slaughtered, and almost none of them had escaped back to the evil God world. A great victory, a true great victory. After that, the demigi DS from the Heaven realm, peak heavenly emperors charged straight to the evil God tribe and razed the evil God realm's 10 great imperial cities and holy mountains. They slaughtered all the experts above the martial emperor realm. When facing the evil God tribe, no one showed mercy. It was because either one side would die or the other would. We won. We won. Ha ha ha. Cheers could be heard everywhere in the Heaven realm. Countless people were extremely excited. He had finally won. For countless years, the evil God tribe had been a huge rock that had been pressing down on the hearts of countless people in the Heaven realm. It was like a knife hanging over everyone's head, ready to cut down at any moment, making it hard for many people to breathe. But now, the evil God tribe that had suppressed the Heaven realm for countless years had been defeated by them. Lu Ming, I know you still have some questions. What do you want to know? Zulong said. Senior, I'm indeed confused. Since the Yuanluo Palace has so many experts and the non-human divine ancestor could break the heaven-suppressing seal, why don't the experts of the Yuanluo Palace break it from the outside? Lu Ming asked. That's right. The seal of heaven suppression was obtained from an ancient ruin. It's extremely powerful, and once it's sealed from the inside of the Heaven realm, it can mobilize the power of the entire Heaven realm. It's difficult for ordinary martial DS to break from the outside, but a stronger martial God can break it from the outside. However, small kiliocosm is fragile. Once it is forcefully broken, the entire Heaven realm will be destroyed. The Yuanluo Palace is reluctant to do so. What they want most is to destroy us and open it from the inside. This way, the Heaven realm and the primordial realm can still become their breeding ground for medicinal herbs. Zilong said. This answer made Lu Ming feel rather helpless. The other party did not attack because they were afraid of destroying the Heaven. If the other party was ruthless, they might destroy the Heaven at any time. Their destinies were not in their control. The Yuanluo Palace will definitely not send anyone too strong in, but I'm afraid they'll send someone below the 3rd level of the Void D realm, Zulong said. Ethereal D realm? Lu Ming was puzzled. Yes, this is the division of the martial D realm. Generally, those who have just become a martial D are in the Void D realm. Zulong nodded. Is there any realm above the Void D realm? Lu Ming asked curiously. Yes. Above the ethereal D realm there's the true D realm, heavenly D realm and king D realm. Each realm is divided into 9 levels. Zulong said. Ethereal D realm, true Oh, D realm heavenly G. Oh, D realm and king G. Oh, D realm. Lu Ming muttered. It turned out that there were still many realms above the martial G. Oh, D realm. He still had a long way to go. Although he was very strong now, he was only standing at the peak of the heaven realm, primordial realm and evil G. Oh, D realm. However, the heaven realm, primordial realm and evil G. Oh, D realm were just one of the endless small kiliacosm. They were nothing compared to the primeval universe. Those above the fourth level of the void G. Oh, D realm are too powerful. If their divine power surges, it's quasi to break open a place like the heaven realm. Therefore they'll most likely send those below the third level of the void G. Oh, D realm in. However, those below the third level of the void G. Oh, D realm will definitely be attacked by the heaven suppressing seal and get injured. So we might have a chance. However, we still have to be careful. The gap between each level of the void G. Oh, D realm is huge. It's not something that the heavenly emperor realm can compare with. As for me, the divine ancestor of the non-human race, Zhenyu and murderer Exin, were all at the first level of the void G. Oh, D realm. Lu Ming, although you're a one-star celestial emperor and can fight a first-level void G. Oh, D realm existence, even if you've broken through to the two-star celestial emperor realm, I don't think you can fight a second-level void G. Oh, D realm existence. Do you understand? Zhu Long warned him seriously. Lu Ming nodded. This was very easy to understand. In the void G. Oh, D realm, the gap between catch level was even greater than that of a Bevenly emperor. Even if he had broken through to the two-star heavenly emperor realm, the increase in his strength was not as great as the void G. Oh, D realm. Therefore he was afraid that he would not be a match for a second-level void G. Oh, T. Of course, this was under the condition that he didn't trigger the battle formula that doubled his combat power. Lu Ming, go back and cultivate. I'll stay here and inform you immediately if there's any movement. Zilong said. All right. Lu Ming nodded and turned to leave. I'll return to the Dragon Sovereign Peak. At this moment, many people had already gathered at the Dragon Sovereign Peak. Xianxia, the dragon and the phoenix spirits were all there. However, many of them looked solemn. The ancestral dragon's words were like a stone that pressed down on their hearts. Lu Ming chatted with the crowd for a while before they dispersed and went to cultivate. No matter what kind of enemy he had to face, the most important thing was to improve himself. Lu Ming entered a secret room and sat cross-legged. He then moved his hand and the Great Desolation Spear appeared in his hand. One could see that the Great Desolation Spear was filled with holes. Its spirituality had been greatly reduced and it was already half destroyed. A divine artifact is indeed powerful. Lu Ming muttered. Previously he had used the Great Desolation Spear to clash head-on with the non-human divine ancestor, and the Great Desolation Spear had been destroyed. After a few glances, Lu Ming put away the Great Desolation Spear and a combat sword appeared in his hand. 3-pound sunned gift. The strange thing was that the Yuan Luo Palace remained silent. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. Said. In the past 10 years, the Yuan Luo Palace had not sent anyone in the past 10 years. Lu Ming Bad benefited greatly with the help of the Shocking Feathers painting scroll. His path of domination had improved greatly. Now I can already break through to become a 2-star heavenly emperor. Let's do it. Lu Ming muttered and took out a large number of divine stones, rough stones and stones of chaos. Originally, he had used up 90% of the divine stones that he had brought out from Netherworld Mountain when he broke through to the heavenly emperor realm. However, they had defeated the evil G.O.D tribe later on. Lu Ming had obtained a large number of divine stones, rough stones, chaos stones and primordial chaos stones from the evil G.O.D tribe's powerhouses. Now he could help Lu Ming break through. Refine. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming's power enveloped the divine stones, chaos stones and rough stones. The divine stones and chaos stones exploded upon contact, and energy surged wildly toward Lu Ming. All of them were absorbed and refined by Lu Ming, transforming into world energy and power of the master. Lu Ming launched an attack on the 2-star heavenly emperor. Half a month later, Lu Ming's aura skyrocketed. His cultivation level had become a 2-star celestial emperor, and his strength had increased by a large margin. I've broken through. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. With a breakthrough in his cultivation and an increase in his combat strength, Lu Ming's confidence grew. However, the amount of resources consumed was too terrifying. Lu Ming's resources were almost depleted. If he were to continue breaking through in the future, he didn't even know what to use to break through. Let's not care about that for now. Lu Ming shook his head and cultivated for a few days. When his realm had stabilized, Lu Ming began to study the battle character formula. In the past 10 years, Lu Ming had not stopped his comprehension of the battle formula. Li's understanding of the battle formula was getting deeper and deeper. Now, on average, he could trigger the double combat power once every 5 times. This was undoubtedly very advantageous in a great battle. Lu Ming, come quickly. At this moment, a voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. It was Zhu Long's voice. It sounded urgent. Are the experts of the Yuanluo Palace coming? The first thing that came to Lu Ming's mind was the Yuanluo Palace. I'll look a step forward and the he cracked. Lu Ming disappeared and reappeared at the original lair of Zulong in the next moment. The ancestral dragon was looking at the heaven suppression scowl with a serious face. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the heaven suppressing seal was shaking violently. The crack that the divine ancestor had created was expanding as if something was going to charge in. His entire body was enveloped by the power of the ruler. His combat sword trembled and he slashed out beams of sword light to fight against his opponent. At the same time, Lu Ming kept casting the battle formula, hoping to trigger the double combat strength. This time Lu Ming was more unlucky. He had already triggered it more than 10 times, but he still did not trigger the double combat strength. Plang, plang. After more than a dozen exchanges, Lu Ming was sent flying back more than 100,000 miles. Blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth. Heaven-suppressing seal, watch me tear it apart. The bald burly man laughed heartily as a shocking saber light slashed towards the heaven-suppressing seal. Boom. At this critical moment, Lu Ming finally triggered the double combat strength and his combat strength skyrocketed. Buzz. Lu Ming turned into a ray of light and arrived in front of the bald man in an instant. He swung his sword. The power of this sword was much stronger than the previous one. The bald man's expression changed and he raised his saber to block it. Thump. The bald burly man was sent flying by Lu Ming's sword. Kill. Lu Ming let out a long hiss and increased his speed to the maximum as he charged forward. However, he did not charge at the bald man but at the one-horned man. What? The one-horned burly man was shocked. He did not expect Lu Ming to suddenly explode and send the bald burly man flying with one move. Initially, he thought that the bald burly man would be able to crush and kill Lu Ming. Instinctively, he raised the weapon in his hand to block it. However, when his weapon collided with Lu Ming's combat sword, he felt an irresistible force surging towards him. Plang. The weapon in the one-horned man's hand flew out and his arm was directly blown apart. He screamed and spurted out blood as his body flew far away. How could Lu Ming miss this opportunity? Buzz. Lu Ming dashed out and slashed out a second time. Save. The one-horned burly man shouted in horror. However, he had only managed to utter one word before he was split into 2 by Lu Ming's sword. The one-horned man had fallen. Fast, it was extremely fast. From the moment Lu Ming made his move to the moment he killed the one-horned burly man, only an instant had passed. After Lu Ming killed the one-horned man, he did not stop at all and charged at the giant python. Retreat. The bald burly man was the first to react. He roared and charged at Lu Ming with a saber in his hand. Buzz. Buzz. The bald burly man slashed more than 100 times in a row. Terrifying beams of light crushed the void and slashed toward Lu Ming. Buzz. Lu Ming slashed horizontally, breaking through 100 saber beams in a row. However, the giant python finally seized the opportunity and retreated at top speed. At the same time, its body shrank, turning into a huge snake that was a few meters long. Its eyes were filled with fear. This person is evil. Let's join forces to deal with him. The bald burly man roared and charged at Lu Ming. At the same time, the giant python made its move. It opened its mouth and spat out a thin black sword that was like a small snake. It flew towards Lu Ming at a strange angle and at an astonishing speed. However, Lu Ming did not care about the python's attack. He charged straight at the other party. Lu Ming's purpose was very simple. He would eliminate the weak ones first and then deal with the strong ones. Die. The python's eyes were cold. It retreated and controlled the snake-shaped sword to stab Lu Ming. Buzz. The snake-shaped thin sword was approaching Lu Ming's glabella. However, just as it was about to hit Lu Ming's glabella, his eyes glowed with a purple-gold light. Pai Lord. With a single thought, Lu Ming's dominator's power erupted and acted on the snake-shaped sword. Buzz. The direction of the snake-shaped thin sword deviated and flew past Lu Ming's ear. However, Lu Ming's figure did not stop and he continued to charge at the python. Not good. The giant python's expression changed drastically and it retreated frantically. The bald man shouted angrily and chased after him. At this moment, a terrifying suction force came from above Lu Ming's head and acted on his body, causing him to suddenly stop. Brat die. A loud roar came from the sky and a huge object suddenly appeared. This person's entire body was blood red. He had a wide mouth and sharp fangs. He had a pair of blood-colored wings. He looked extremely similar to the human-shaped bat that Lu Ming had killed earlier. It was obvious that they were from the same race. However, this humanoid bat creature's cultivation was obviously stronger, no weaker than the bald man's. Its two wings were like a storm, slashing at Lu Ming. Another second-level void god realm existence. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed again. How many experts had entered the Yuanluo Palace? This was what Lu Ming was most uncertain about. But now they could only fight. The combat sword in his hand trembled and shot out beams of sword light to fight against the blood-colored bat above his head. At the same time, Lu Ming soared into the sky, becoming one with the sword. Chapter 2564 Frightening Enemy. Lu Ming used all his strength and became one with his sword. Turned into a dazzling sword light and attacked the humanoid bat. Blood splattered everywhere. One of the bat-shaped creature's wings was almost cut off. He screamed and quickly retreated. Before Lu Ming activated the double combat strength formula, his combat strength was weaker than a second-level Void G.O.D. realm powerhouse. However, after activating the double combat strength formula, his abilities had completely surpassed a second-level Void G.O.D. realm powerhouse. Kill. Lu Ming simply stared at the humanoid bat and kept slashing at it. However, the bald man had also arrived. He joined forces with the humanoid bat to fight Lu Ming. As for the giant python, it was hiding in the distance, controlling the snake-shaped thin sword from afar to attack Lu Ming. Boom. Boom. The two sides continued fight and exchanged dozens of moves. Even though Lu Ming was fighting Ankh against 3, he still had the upper hand. Puchi. One of the bat-like creature's wings was completely chopped off by Lu Ming. Blood splattered in all directions and drowned the entire mountain. Ah, brat ant, I'm going to break your head. The human-shaped bat roared in anger, but what welcomed it was Lu Ming's sword gleam. The sword light flashed and one of the bat-like creature's wings was almost cut off. It was so scared that it retreated. Clang. Lu Ming turned around and swung his sword. His sword collided with the bald man's and the bald man was sent flying. And how is this kid so strong? The bald man's face was gloomy as he retreated to the python's side. As for the human-shaped bat, he hurriedly came to the bald man and the other's side. The three of them gathered together, not daring to separate. What do we do? This brat is too strong. We can't kill him, nor can we tear the heaven-suppressing seal. The giant python said. Where's Su? Why isn't he here yet? Once he's here we can deal with this kid. The human-shaped bat said. You're really useless. You can't even deal with a native from a small kiliacosm. Suddenly, a cold and arrogant voice sounded. The void trembled and a figure appeared out of thin air. This figure looked similar to a human. He had a well-proportioned body, but his eyes were cold and filled with a faint arrogance. Su. Seizing this person, the bald man, the human-shaped bat, and the giant python were all overjoyed. Su, this person has mastered the path of a ruler. It's best not to kill him. Capture him alive and offer him to young master. Young master will definitely be overjoyed. The bald man said. Understood. Su nodded. He looked at Lu Ming and said indifferently, Brat, surrender without resistance and you can suffer less physical pain. Chapter 2565 Mobilizing World Power, Lu Ming. In the distance, Xianxia's eyes turned red as she witnessed this scene. She gritted her teeth and her eyes revealed a look of determination. Her body was covered in a black light. Her hands quickly formed a strange seal, and the aura of her body rose rapidly. Su Tu, the bald man, and the others looked at Xianxia in shock. Interesting. This small kiliocosm is really interesting. Su Tu muttered, his eyes burning with excitement. At this moment the he beside Xian Yonging flashed and Xian Yinjuan appeared. Xian Yanqing, what are you doing? You're crazy. If you do this, your foundation will be completely destroyed and you'll only become a cripple in the future. Xian Yinjuan scolded. I'm not crazy. I must save Lu Ming. I can't watch him die. Xian Yanqing's eyes were firm. Even if you cast that secret skill with all your might, you're no match for them. Also, are you not going to do that thing for Lu Ming? Zik Yinjuan scolded. That's the Tang family's business. I'm not a member of the Tang family. My surname's Xia, my name is Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing said. Xian Yinjuan was speechless. Indeed, Xian Yonging's memories of this life had devoured the memories of her previous life. Strictly speaking, she was no longer a member of the Tang family. Xian Yanqing's aura was getting stronger and stronger as if he was about to reach the martial D realm. Dandan, Venerable Sovereign Rebellion, the Tan Bull, and the others all looked at, could it be that I'm going to die in battle here today? Xian Yonging in shock. On the ground, Lu Ming lay in a deep pit that was tens of thousands of miles deep. Many thoughts ran through his mind. Su Tu was too strong. He was not someone he could fight against at all. He had already done his best. The battle symbol art had doubled his combat strength. His combat strength had reached its peak and could suppress a second-level void D realm existence. However, he was still not Su Tu's match. It was completely one-sided. What to do? Lu Ming was indignant. He did not want to give up just like that. If he gave up, the heaven-suppressing sigil would be opened and the powerhouses from the Yuanluo Palace would enter. The heaven realm's living beings would most likely be doomed. His parents, Xian Yonging, his son, granddaughter, and friends would all be in danger. He had to protect them. Master the world. If I can master the power of this world, I can deal with Su Tu. That's right. The heavenly Tao is suppressing me because it's afraid that it'll dominate it. Now I've already broken through. In an instant, many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Since the heavenly Tao was afraid of him breaking through, now that he had broken through, could he dominate the power of this world? Instantly, Lu Ming's spiritual consciousness spread out limitlessly. Ruler, give me the ruler. I am the ruler of this world. Lu Ming roared in his heart, his body emitting a bright purple-gold light. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the entire world was shaking. Endless energy suddenly surged toward Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to feel that the entire heaven realm, even the primordial realm and the evil D realm were all under his control. He could use the energy of the entire world. Su Tu's pupils contracted sharply and his eyes were filled with shock. And it die. Su Tu roared. He used all his strength and swung his fists continuously, unleashing terrifying attacks. Terrifying fist forces were blasted toward Lu Ming. However, a wave energy formed around Lu Ming's body and blocked Su Tu's punches. How could this be? Quick, let's attack together and interrupt him. Su Tu could no longer keep his calm and shouted. Attack! The bald burly man and the other two attacked at the same time. All kinds of attacks were constantly bombarding Lu Ming. However, they were blocked by the energy around Lu Ming's body. At this moment, Xian Yanqing, Xian Yinjuan and the others were also shocked. Xian Yanqing was about to cast a secret skill to fight alongside Lu Ming at all costs. At that moment, the secret skill stopped and her aura fell again. Is this the power of the entire world? It's too terrifying. At this moment, Lu Ming was in a wonderful state. He seemed to be able to mobilize the energy of the entire world. Then kill. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He swung the combat sword in his hand. This sword had mobilized the power of the entire world. Bang! A sword light slashed out and the attacks of Su Tu and the other three were directly shattered. The sword light did not stop and continued to slash toward the four of them. Not good. Su Tu and the other three's expressions changed drastically as they retreated frantically. However, the sword light was faster. Blood splattered everywhere. The bald man, the human-shaped bat, and the giant python suddenly stopped. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and horror. Then their bodies exploded and turned into ashes. Su Tu was the only one who was forced to retreat. He spat out a mouthful of blood and a long sword mark appeared on his chest, almost cutting him in half. Mobilizing the power of the entire small kiliacosm, this is equivalent to the power of a 4th-level void G. O. D realm. Su Tu roared in fear. His figure retreated rapidly, tearing his he apart as he tried to escape. If you want to leave, I am the master of this world. Lu Ming's cold voice was heard. A huge hand suddenly appeared behind Su Tu. Chapter 2566 Taking the Initiative, Senior Ancestral Dragon. Please wait a moment. I'll look around and see if there are any experts from the Yuanluo Palace, Lu Ming said to the Ancestral Dragon and closed his eyes. At this moment Lu Ming dominated this world. Therefore he could sense it anywhere in the Heaven Realm, and the Evil G. O. D Realm. He could even sense it in the Dark Void. There's indeed one more person. In a darkest Lu Ming sensed a powerful existence. It should be at 2nd-level Void G. O. D level and was sitting cross-legged in the void to recuperate. Suddenly this person opened his eyes, revealed a trace of shock and turned to run. Can you run away? Lu Ming sneered. He gathered the energy of the entire world, formed a combat sword and slashed down. Ah! The man let out a blood-curdling screech as he was killed. A 2nd-level Void G. O. D realm existence could not even withstand one move from Lu Ming. Lu Ming's current state was too powerful. He could dominate the entire world and mobilize the energy of the entire world. He was comparable to a 4th-level virtual G. O. D level powerhouse. Killing a 2nd-level virtual G. O. D level powerhouse would be a piece of cake. Following that, Lu Ming continued to look around. However, he did not find any traces of other experts. All the experts from the Yuanluo Palace who had entered this place had been killed. At this moment the aura on Lu Ming's body finally calmed down and returned to normal. His injuries had also completely recovered. La Ming, did you just mobilize the energy of the entire heaven and earth? Zulong looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming nodded. He then waved his hand and kept the storage rings left behind by the experts he had killed. Lu Ming, are you all right? At this moment, Xianxia flew over with a face full of concern. Then Dandan and the others also flew over. I'm fine, don't worry. Lu Ming smiled. After everyone chatted for a while, the tan longhorn beetle and the others also left. Not long after, the news of Lu Ming killing the G. O. S in succession spread. After countless people found out, they were shocked beyond words. Lu Ming had killed many G. O. Des by himself. That was a G. O. D. It was like a legend. Lu Ming's prestige in the hearts of everyone in the Heaven Realm had reached the peak, even Serpa. Sing the Ancestor Dragon by a large margin. In their opinion, Lu Ming was simply a G. O. Among G. O. However, Lu Ming and Zulong's faces were grave. In the area of the Heaven Suppressing Seal, the Ancestral Dragon and La Ming were discussing something. This can't go on. If the Yuanluo Palace knows that they have failed, they will definitely send out stronger existences. Zulong frowned. Senior, what should we do now? Lu Ming asked. A small kiliacosm is a huge fortune to the Yuanluo Palace. Under normal circumstances they would not be willing to destroy it, but there is no guarantee that they would not do so in a fit of anger. If they send out existences above the 4th level of the Void G. O. D realm, they can completely destroy the Heaven Realm, the Yuan Realm, and the Evil G. O. D realm. Zulong frowned and thought. After a while he said, there's only one way to survive. Senior, please speak. Lu Ming said. That is to take the initiative to attack. Now the people from the Yuanluo Palace don't know that the people they sent in have been completely annihilated. They must be waiting for good news. Therefore the forces outside the Heaven Suppressing Scale shouldn't be too strong. Now if we take the initiative to attack, tear the Heaven Suppressing Scale and rush out, we might have a chance of success. Zulong said. Charge out. Lu Ming muttered. He pondered for a moment and said, All right then, well, move out. Lu Ming was a decisive person. If he continued to stay here, he could only sit and wait for his death. He would not stand a chance. However, if he rushed out, there was still a chance of survival. However, there's an important problem when you rush out. It's the problem of your small world. Zhou said. The problem of the small world? Lu Ming was puzzled. If they were to charge out, they would definitely take most of the living beings into the small world and bring them out. The primeval universe is a truly ancient and perfect world. It's a real greater world. Such a world and a small world created through cultivation can't coexist with it. Therefore, once you enter the primeval universe, within a year, the small world will separate from your body and merge with the primeval universe, becoming a part of it. Zhou said. What? A small world can actually merge with the primeval universe? Lu Ming's expression changed. Wouldn't his cultivation level drop drastically? However, you don't have to worry about one thing. The primeval universe is fair. When your small world fuses with it, it will also give you an equal amount of energy. Therefore, your cultivation state will not decline. However, all the living beings you bring out will be exposed. Our traces will be exposed as well. So once we leave, we must find a safe place to settle everyone within a year. Zhou said. So that's how it is. Only a year? Lu Ming muttered. In other words, after they leave, they must be out of danger within a year. Otherwise, it might be even more dangerous. Lu Ming, you can decide on this matter. Zhou said. Let's do this. Lu Ming spoke with a determined look in his eyes. Rather than waiting for death, it was better to fight to the death. Zhu Long's eyes were filled with admiration. There weren't many people who could be so decisive. All right, since we've decided to charge out, we'll have T do it as soon as possible. Chapter 2567, Rushing into the Desolate Universe. Lu Ming, I'm counting on you. The ancestral dragon turned into a ray of light and flew into Lu Ming's small world, disappearing. Now Lu Ming's cultivation was stronger than Zhu Long's. With fewer people, it was more convenient to move around. Primal universe, here I come. Lu Ming muttered and turned to look at the land of the Heaven Realm. After they left, the Yuanluo Palace would definitely not destroy the Heaven Realm, the Primordial Realm, and the evil G.O.D. Realm. They would definitely let living beings in and turn them into farms. One day I will take back this place. Lu Ming muttered. He then stepped into the palace, sage, and disappeared. The primeval universe was vast and boundless. It was a greater world, also known as the Divine Realm. This was the final path for all the experts in the small kiliacosm. After all the living beings in the small kiliacosm cultivated to the demi-G.O.D. realm, they would leave the small kiliacosm and come to the primal universe. There were countless experts in G.O.D.s gathered here. There were countless stars in the primeval universe, and there were also countless life planks suitable for living beings to live on. They were divided into countless forces of various sizes. The chaotic astral river was a well-known chaotic place in the primal universe. It was a place where countless races and countless extremely evil people gathered. In this boundless galaxy, there were many life planets and forces of different sizes. The Yuanluo Palace was one of them. It occupied more than a dozen vital planks and had countless experts. Kong Long was the young master of the Yuanluo Palace. He was very talented and had reached the demi-G.O.D. realm at a young age. Il was highly regarded by the palace master of the Yuanluo Palace and was given a life planet as his territory. This life planet was the Dark Underworld Star. The Underworld Star was extremely huge. Half of it was a continent while the other half was an Aachen. Its territory was not something that the Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil G.O.D. realm could compare to. Even if the Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil G.O.D. realm were all added together, their area would not even be 1/10,000th of the size of the planet. In the Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil G.O.D. realm, they were small kiliacosm attached to the shadowed star, and their sages were connected to the planet. It was a vast mountain. On one of the peaks, Kong Long sat on a chair. Two young women were saging his shoulders. Is there still no news of that small world? Kong Long asked. He had a bald head with some black runes on it. He was very similar to one of the burly men who had entered the Heaven Realm before. They were from the same race. However, after leaving the Heaven Realm and coming to the primeval universe, Lu Ming naturally could not mobilize the energy of the heaven realm, the primordial realm and the evil G.O.D. realm. Even if Lu Ming's combat strength was doubled, he would not be a match for a third-level void G.O.D. level. Not to mention there were even stronger existences. However, Lu Ming would not sit still and wait for death. He instinctively released his aura and was on guard. Only at the transformation void martial stage? At the sight of Lu Ming's aura, not only was Kong Long stunned but the others were as well. Then one by one they relaxed and revealed relaxed expressions. All was only at the transformation void martial stage. Any one of them could suppress him with a flip of their hand. What was there to be nervous about? Initially they had thought that Lu Ming was a great expert. Everyone's expressions fell into Lu Ming's size. He had an idea. A transformation void martial stage. Kid, did you secretly run out? Kong Long asked coldly. He thought that Lu Ming must have sneaked out when Su Tu and the rest were not prepared. That's right. What do you want? Lu Ming pretended that his expression had changed drastically. He retreated continuously, looking nervous. He really sneaked out. Kong Long sneered. Let me ask you, how are the people who entered your world? What are you doing? Those detestable guys are massacring. They're killing innocents. They're simply inhumane. Lu Ming pretended to be furious. He was extremely furious. Kong Long and the rest laughed. Forget it, let them play. Kid, kneel down and surrender. I have something to ask you. Kong Long waved his hand. You want me to surrender? Dream on. I am the #1 heaven's pride in the heaven realm. I can see that you are not old. I challenge you now. Do you dare to accept my challenge? Lu Ming shouted. How dare you? What qualifications do you have to challenge the young master? You're just an ant. I'll kill you with one palm. 1F, the burly men said ferociously. Hold on. Kong Long waved his hand and stopped the burly man. 23. Lu Ming secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He had achieved his goal. As long as these people looked down on him, he would challenge Kong Long and take him as a hostage. Only then would he have a chance of survival. He put on an act and Kong Long fell for it. At the same time he was secretly shocked. Kong Long had only cultivated for about 500 years, and he had already reached the demi-G.O.D. realm. In the heaven realm, the primordial realm and the evil G.O.D. realm, this was an unbelievable thing. He had cultivated for less than 500 years, but he was different. He couldn't be explained by common sense. In terms of true cultivation, he wasn't even a demi-G.O.D. In addition, people like Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan and Dandan couldn't be judged with common sense. On the other hand, Kong Long was able to cultivate to the demi-G.O.D. realm in 500 years. This kind of talent was extremely shocking. Moreover, he said that his combat strength could rival a first-level void G.O.D. realm existence. The primeval universe was indeed not something that the heaven realm, the primordial realm or the evil G.O.D. realm could compare to. The moment Lu Ming came out, he met a powerful heaven's favorite. Kid, let's do it. Let me see what you can do, a native from a small kiliacosm. Kong Long stepped forward, not far from Lu Ming, his face full of pride. Lu Ming made his move. However, he did not use the path of domination. Instead, he simply relied on his physical strength and threw a punch. What a stabilis he. Lu Ming could feel the difference when he threw a punch. The power of his physical body was equivalent to that of a peak heavenly emperor. If he were in the heaven realm, primordial realm or evil G.O.D. realm, he would collapse into pix with one punch. But now he found that the SPE was extremely stable, and not even a ripple was produced. Small tricks. Kong Long smiled disdainfully and threw a punch as well. Eli's fist was covered with a thin layer of divine power. Boom. Their fists collided heavily. Lu Ming's body shook violently and he was sent flying backward, spurting out a mouthful of blood. How can he be the #1 heaven's favorite in a small kiliacosm with such strength? Small world, you're really a native country B. Kin, I'll cripple you now and take you back to refined medicine. Kong Long's contempt grew. He waved his hand and attacked Lu Ming continuously. When the rest of the people saw that Lu Ming had been beaten to the point of vomiting blood by Kong Long in one move, they immediately relaxed. In their opinion, Lu Ming was indeed an ordinary transformation void martial artist. He was no match for Kong Long. Lu Ming tried his best to resist and pretended to be defeated. In fact, he was secretly activating the battle formula. Kong Long's cultivation was at the demi-G D realm and his combat power was indeed very strong. He far surpassed, said the demi-G DS that Lu Ming had encountered. Chapter 2569 Escape. Let you go? You're really naive. If I let you go now, wouldn't I be courting death? Lu Ming sneered, his eyes filled with killing intent. He swept his gaze over the people around him and said, "Move, let me leave or I'll kill him." "You dare? Kid, do you know who he is? He's the young master of the Yuanluo Palace, the son of the palace master. If you dare to touch him, you'll end up in a miserable state, do you understand?" The elder roared, his eyes filled with cold, killing intent. If not for his apprehension towards Kong Long, he would have killed Lu Ming with a single blow. The son of the palace master of the Yuanluo Palace? That's even better. If I kill him, all of you will be buried with him. Come on, we'll die together. Lu Ming said coldly. You, the old man and the two men were so angry that they almost vomited blood, but they didn't dare to act rashly. Lu Ming was right. Kong Long was the favorite of the ball master of the Yuanluo Hall. The hall master was known for his ruthlessness. If Kong Long died, they would be buried with him. Kid, you're finished. I'm telling you, there's no way for you to escape. I'm going to kill you and all the people in your small world. I won't let anyone go. They'll all die. Kong Long roared madly. The thought of being captured by a native from a small kiliacosm made him go crazy. If this were to spread, wouldn't he become laughing stock? Blowing. Lu Ming said coldly. Then he swung his palm like a knife and one of Kong Long's arms flew out. Ah! Kong Long screamed in pain. At his level, he could quickly recover even if his body was torn apart. However, the pain was real. How audacious. You're looking for death. The others also roared in anger. You're talking nonsense. Next time, I'll directly destroy his divine flame. Now all of you get out of my way and let me leave. I'll naturally let him go. Lu Ming said coldly. Let go of the young master and we'll let you leave. The old man said. Do you think I'm stupid? I'll let him go and you'll kill me immediately. Let me leave first. Otherwise I'll have to cripple him first. Lu Ming said. His dominator's power transformed into a sharp sword and pierced into Kong Long's dantian, trying to destroy his divine fire. Get out of the way, you idiots, get out of the way, let him go, let him go. Kong Long shouted hysterically. He was afraid. He was truly afraid. Once the divine flame was destroyed, his cultivation would be crippled. So what if he let Lu Ming go? In his heart, even if there were 10,000 or 100 million Lu Mings, they were not as important as a single hair on his head. He swore that once he escaped, he would send experts to capture Lu Ming and grind his bones to dust. The people at the side had ugly expressions, but now they could only move aside. The old man and the others retreated to the sides. Chapter 2571 Exposed. A majestic city stood tall on the ground. Looked even bigger than Two World City. Lu Ming walked through a huge city gate and entered the city. So many races. After entering the city gate, Lu Ming realized that the streets of the city were filled with people of different races. At a glance, Lu Ming discovered at least dozens of races. Although there were also humans, they had the least. The chaotic astral river is a place where all kinds of races gather. It's true. Lu Ming had a thought. During the journey, Lu Ming would chat with Zhu Long from time to time. Zhu Long told Lu Ming many things. About the desolate universe. The primeval universe was boundless and had countless life planets. In the primal universe, there were countless races, each occupying a large territory. These territories were called star territories. Under each star area there were many galaxies, and under each galaxy there were many life planets. The Yuanluo Palace was located at the edge of the primal universe, in a place called the chaotic astral river. The chaotic astral river could be said to be one of the most barren galaxies in the entire primal universe. The powerful forces didn't care about this place at all. Therefore it had become a special galaxy. Those from various races who can't survive, escapees or people who are being hunted, will all come to the chaotic astral river. Thus, the chaotic astral river has countless races. This place was filled with chaos and killing could be seen everywhere. Of course, the chaotic astral river has also formed various powers of different sizes. These powers can also be seen fighting each other everywhere. When Lu Ming first heard that this place was one of the most barren places in the entire universe, he was shocked. To Lu Ming, the cultivation environment here was already extremely amazing. It was dozens of times better than the heaven realm. Such a place was actually the most barren place in the entire universe. Then, how amazing would the places with good cultivation environments be? Lu Ming was looking forward to it. He felt that the primeval universe would be more exciting than the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil D realm. What about the Great Void Holy Dynasty? Lu Ming suddenly thought of the Great Void Holy Dynasty that Bai Ye had mentioned. The master of Netherworld Mountain Jingyu was from the Great Void Holy Dynasty. But where was the Great Void Holy Dynasty? Lu Ming had asked Zhu Long about it, but Zhu Long shook his head. He had never heard of the Great Void Holy Dynasty. The ancestral dragon was born and raised in the chaotic astral river. According to what he said, he had never left the chaotic astral river in his entire life. Lu Ming wandered around the streets. There were all kinds of races here, so naturally no one paid attention to him. It seems like there aren't many virtual DS? Lu Ming walked around and realized that most of the people on the street were at the Martial Emperor realm. In the primal universe, there were also the Void Prying stage, True Void stage, Void Interpretation stage, and Void Transformation stage. There weren't many people who had reached the Void D realm. In particular, Lu Ming had seen most of those at the Transformation Void Martial stage and Demi DS. It seemed that it was not easy to break through to the Martial D realm in the prehistoric universe. Lu Ming walked around and found an inn to stay in. For the next few days, Lu Ming would wander around the city or go to some restaurants to find out more. Lu Ming knew that only the two largest cities had teleportation formations. However, both cities were guarded by a large number of experts from the Yuanluo Palace. Do you want to take a risk? Lu Ming pondered. Al wanted to disguise himself in front of the teleportation formation and see if he could take the opportunity to slip through. However, he wasn't confident. Although his divine breath technique was effective in the heaven realm, this was the desolate universe. There were too many experts. Who knew if those experts would see through the disguise of the divine breath technique? Moreover, as Lu Ming's cultivation level increased, the effect of the divine breath technique became less and less. It became more and more difficult to conceal his aura. This was natural. The stronger one's cultivation was, the more powerful one's aura would be. It would be more difficult to change and conceal one's aura, unless one had a more exquisite aura concealment technique. Let's observe for a while and see if there are any other ways. If there's no other way, we can only take a risk. Lu Ming made a decision. After that, Lu Ming stayed in the city, cultivating and thinking of ways. In this place, Lu Ming's cultivation speed was much faster than the heaven realm. Lu Ming would often use Jing Ye's portrait to comprehend the will of the ruler, and his progress was rapid. However, there was a seal on Jing Ye's scroll. Lu Ming had not been able to open it, probably because his cultivation level was not high enough. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. In 2 months, Lu Ming's comprehension of the path of domination had improved by a large margin. It was comparable to 10 years of cultivation in the heaven realm. He believed that it would not be long before his cultivation base would rise again. On this day, Lu Ming was walking on the streets when he suddenly looked up at the sky. Buzz ID in the sky, a few beams of light flashed by. They were virtual D-level masters. In the past few days, there have been more and more experts in the vicinity. Indeed, they seemed to be looking for someone. Around them, many people were discussing. Could it be that the experts from the Yuanluo Palace are looking for me? Lu Ming had a thought. Since he had captured Kong Long, it was only natural that the Origin Luo Palace would not let him go and would send a large number of experts to hunt him down. Following that, Lu Ming became even more careful. However, in the next few days, Lu Ming discovered that the number of experts in the city had decreased instead of increasing. There was a trend of more and more. Some people even walked into the city and looked around with sharp eyes. It was as if the other party had locked onto the city. Lu Ming returned to the inn, summoned Zhu Long and told him about the matter. Not good, the enemy must have locked onto you. You just came out of the heaven realm and haven't assimilated with the primeval universe, so you must have a strong aura of the heaven realm. It won't be difficult for the enemy to lock onto you as long as they spend some time studying you. Zhu Long's expression changed drastically. Lu Ming's expression changed. However, the other party didn't find you immediately. This means that they can only determine the approximate area and can't accurately determine you. Now you have to leave this place as soon as possible. Zhu Long said. All right. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He kept the ancestral dragon into the small world and left the inn immediately. He headed out of the city and soon left the city gate. He chose a random direction and flew forward. Stop. After Lu Ming had flown for a while, two people flew toward him and one of them shouted. Lu Ming's heart jumped. They were two middle-aged men, both at the ethereal G.O.D. realm. One of them was holding a crystal ball which was shining with a weak light. The two middle-aged men flew toward Lu Ming. When they neared him, the crystal ball suddenly shone brightly. It's him. The two middle-aged men's eyes lit up. Buzz. Lu Ming immediately dashed out and flew rapidly in another direction. Stop right there. Chase. The two middle-aged burly men chased after Lu Ming at top speed. Chapter 2572 surrounded the crystal balls in the two middle-aged men's hands could clearly sense Lu Ming's aura. As soon as they got close, they lit up. Lu Ming's face was gloomy as he flew at top speed. However, as time passed, the distance between him and the two middle-aged men was getting closer and closer. Brat, you won't be able to escape, one of the burly men said ferociously, his aura overbearing. The two middle-aged men were both at the second level of the Void God realm. If Lu Ming was in his normal state, he would not be a match for them. Therefore, Lu Ming kept triggering the battle formula as he flew. Boom. There seemed to be an explosion in his body. The double combat power of the battle formula had been successfully activated. Lu Ming did not take action immediately. Instead, he continued flying. In the blink of an eye, both parties were far away from the city and flew into a forest. Buzz. All of a sudden, Lu Ming's figure that was flying at high speed came to a halt. Not only that, but he also charged at the two middle-aged men. A combat sword appeared in his hand and he slashed. The two middle-aged men did not expect Lu Ming to suddenly stop running and charge at them instead. They could not stop in their tracks and rushed toward Lu Ming. Boom. Boom. The two middle-aged men also made their moves. They each launched a move. However, it had happened too suddenly, so they could only use 50% of their combat strength at most. A second-tier void god could only exert 50% of his combat strength. He could not withstand Lu Ming's full power at all. One of the middle-aged men did not even have the chance to scream before he was cut in half by Lu Ming's sword. Not good. The other burly man retreated. Kill. Lu Ming wielded his combat sword and charged at the middle-aged man with cold killing intent. The middle-aged man finally came to his senses. He took out a saber and slashed at Lu Ming. Clang. The sword and saber collided, causing a violent tremor. The middle-aged man's figure was forced to retreat. Lu Ming's combat power was doubled after activating the battle formula. Although he was not a match for a third-level virtual god-level martial artist, he had an absolute advantage over a second-level virtual god-level martial artist. After forcing the middle-aged man back with one move, Lu Ming continued to attack his opponent, launching a storm of attacks. The middle-aged man's roar was like thunder. Naturally, he was not willing to be killed, so he fought back with all his might. Clang, clang, clang. The two of them collided continuously. However, Lu Ming's combat strength was ultimately stronger. The middle-aged man was no match for him. After more than 10 moves, both his arms were shattered by the impact. He was sent flying backward and spat out blood. Whoosh. With Kong Long in his hands, he did not believe that the other party would dare to make a move. Kill. However, at this moment, the burly man with messy hair made his move. He was very decisive. A long spear appeared in his hand. A terrifying spear radiance shot out with a terrifying whistling sound and pierced towards Lu Ming. He did not give Lu Ming any chance to react. Lu Ming could only wave his sword to block. Clang. The combat sword and the long spear collided and Lu Ming retreated rapidly. Kill. Kill. The burly elder and the one-horned man also made their moves and charged toward Lu Ming. The old man's fist force was astonishing. He was wearing a pair of gloves on his hands, which were clearly divine artifacts. Every punch was terrifying. Lu Ming tried his best to block a few moves. His body was in great pain as if it was about to split open. However, just as Lu Ming was at a complete disadvantage, a sudden change occurred. The man with messy hair suddenly changed the direction of his spear. He was no longer attacking Lu Ming but the burly elder instead. The burly old man had never thought that the other party would suddenly attack him. He had not been prepared at all. The long spear pierced through the old man's forehead and the old man died. This scene not only stunned Lu Ming but also the one-horned burly man. Then he roared, "Songem, what are you doing? Kill!" The reply to the horned man was the disheveled-haired man's cold shout. He took advantage of the situation and pulled out his long spear, sweeping it across and hitting the horned man. The horned man screamed as his body was split into two. "Go down and find the answer yourself," the big man with messy hair said coldly. Then he thrust his spear again and killed the one-horned man. It happened so suddenly that the burly elder and the horned man were killed by the burly man with messy hair in an instant. Lu Ming retreated and was on guard. He was very curious as to why the other party would suddenly kill each other. The burly man with disheveled hair looked at Lu Ming with a complicated look in his eyes. He seemed to be reminiscing about the past. After a moment of silence he said, "You're from the Heaven Realm, right?" Chapter 2573 Mysterious Woman. Many thanks, Senior. Lu Ming was sincerely grateful. No need to thank me. You carry the hope of the Heaven Realm on your back. I really hope that you can get out of this danger. Song Yemo smiled. Senior, how can I break the restriction on your body? Junior has mastered the Tao of a sovereign and might be able to help break the restriction. Lu Ming said. And NBSP, his Tao of domination was extremely profound and might work. You've actually mastered the Tao of a ruler? Song Yemo was shocked. Even in the primal universe, there weren't many people who had mastered the Tao of a ruler. Every single one of them was a peerless genius. Lu Ming could actually control such power. Ha, good, you really are the hope of the Heaven Realm. Song Yemo laughed out loud, her face was full of smiles. After a while Song Yemo said, however, your cultivation is too low. The scowl on my body was personally placed by the Hall Master of the Origin Luo Palace. Even if you have mastered the ruler's Tao, I'm afraid you'll have to wait until you reach the true G. Oh. D realm before you can remove our seal. True G. Oh, D Raylin? Lu Ming muttered. Indeed, it was not that simple. If it was that simple, then the ancestor of technique would probably be able to help them resolve it in secret. Go, but be careful. They'll find a way to lure away some of the people from the Yuan Luo Palace nearby. Song Yemo said. Senior, Lu Ming will remember your kindness today. If Lu Ming manages to escape danger, he'll definitely come back to save you in the future. Lu Ming cupped his fists, his gaze determined. All right, I believe you. Song Yemo smiled. Then Lu Ming used his movement technique and turned into a ray of light, leaving the place. After Lu Ming left, Song Yemo destroyed all traces of the crime scene and left the place. After flying for some distance, Lu Ming landed on the ground and ran along the ground. After all, he would be a big target if he flew in the air. Moreover, Lu Ming did not have a fixed direction. He would head east and west at times, zigzagging in order to avoid being detected by the people from the Origin Luo Palace. Although it would be slower, it was at least safe. Lu Ming followed the map given by Song Yemo and headed towards the stellar iron mine. The people from the Yuan Luo Palace could only capture Lu Ming's approximate location with the crystal ball. They could not pinpoint his exact location. Now that Lu Ming was moving at a high speed and his direction was constantly changing, it was more difficult for the other party to capture his precise position. Therefore, Lu Ming did not encounter any experts from the Yuan Luo Palace. However, the area of the shadowed star was too large. Lu Ming's speed was slow to begin with. It took him more than 2 months to reach the vicinity of the stellar iron mink. Chapter 2574 Righteous Army. Let's go. Lu Ming turned around and left, increasing his speed to the maximum. He thought that the woman had come to help and it would be dangerous if he stayed. The woman was surprised. She thought that Lu Ming would try his best to hold her back when the experts from the stellar iron mine noticed her and rushed over. She did not expect Lu Ming to run faster than her. Is he not from the Yuan Luo Palace? The woman thought to herself, and then her figure moved, leaving the place. Not long after they left, a few figures appeared at the place where they had just fought. Looking at the ravines on the ground, one of the old men revealed a sinister sneer. It seems like the righteous army hasn't given up and is still lingering nearby. Hee, we've captured their people, so they naturally want to save them. Then we'll just wait to capture them all in one fell swoop. Another old woman sneered. In a flash, the few of them disappeared. Lu Ming ran for more than 100,000 miles before he stopped and found a place to rest. I'll observe for a while. If it doesn't work, I'll have to find a hidden place on the underworld star and merge the small world with the primal universe. Lu Ming pondered. Although there was a huge risk of being discovered by the experts of the Yuanluo Palace, there was no other way. After resting for 2 days, Lu Ming headed in the direction of the stellar iron ore. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. Lu Ming had walked for a while when he heard the sound of intense fighting ahead. It was obvious that someone was fighting. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. He then restrained his aura and leaned over carefully. 3 middle-aged men were attacking a woman. It's her. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. The woman who was being attacked was the beautiful woman who had attacked Lu Ming previously. At this moment, the woman was surrounded by 3 burly men and was in a critical situation. Among the 3 burly men, 2 of them were at the 2nd level of the Void G.O.D. realm, while the other one had reached the 3rd level of the Void G.O.D. realm. Although the woman was strong, she was no match for the 3 of them. A little girl from the Jingfa army. Not bad. He's pretty enough. I can take her down and enjoy her. The 3rd level Void G.O.D. realm burly man used an iron rod and waved it, creating loud rumbles and shocking power. With one strike, the woman's body trembled and she was sent flying. She spat out a mouthful of blood and her face turned pale. B.A.R.D. from the Yuanluo Palace. The woman gritted her teeth and tried her best to run to the side, but the 3 men were tightly holding her, making it difficult for her to escape. So she's not from the Yuanluo Palace but from the righteous army. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It was getting closer and closer to the 1-year period. There were less than 8 months left. At this point, Lu Ming was even more careful. This was because there was a terrifying expert in the stellar iron mine. Without a doubt, there was definitely an existence above 7th level Void G.O.D. realm. Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. Lu Ming concealed his aura and approached the stellar iron ore carefully, planning to check out the situation. This area was an endless mountain range. There were huge mountains everywhere that reached into the clouds. Lu Ming hid in one of the mountains and looked into the distance. In the distance there were mountains and a huge mine vein. There were many figures mining there and some experts were patrolling. There was nothing unusual. Senior Songmo, the people from the Ancestor of Techniques faction came to attack this mine. But now a few months have passed. Said. Are the people from the Ancestor of Techniques still here? Even if they are, how can I find them? Will they attack again? Lu Ming pondered and many thoughts flashed through his mind. He decided to wait nearby. Next, Lu Ming waited near the stellar iron ore. However, he did not stay in one position all the time. Instead, he kept changing his position to avoid being discovered by the other party. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Said. However, there was no movement at all. The stellar iron ore had been operating peacefully. Could it be that the Ancestor of Techniques people have already left? Lu Ming frowned. Time was getting shorter and shorter. Not long after, Lu Ming changed his direction again and carefully headed to another mountain peak. All of a sudden, Lu Ming felt a chill in his heart. He could sense that danger was approaching. Lu Ming took a step forward and his body suddenly shifted 100 meters to the right. Whoosh! A ray of sword light landed on the spot where Lu Ming had just landed, cutting a deep trench on the ground. You actually dodged my sword, not bad. A crisp voice was heard. Lu Ming turned around and saw a woman. This woman's skin was like jade and her facial features were exquisite. She was an absolute beauty. She had a thick ponytail and was dressed in martial attire. She held a long sword in her hand and looked rather heroic. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. Did the people of the Yuanluo Palace find out? Buzz. Lu Ming retreated quickly. At the same time, he constantly cast the battle symbol art, hoping to trigger the double combat power of the battle symbol art. A mere transformation void martial stage wants to escape in front of me? Stay here. The woman shouted. Her figure was like a fleeting shadow as she rushed toward Lu Ming. With a wave of her long sword, a dazzling sword light slashed toward Lu Ming. The combat sword appeared in Lu Ming's hands and he slashed continuously. Bang, bang, bang. A concentrated explosion sounded. Lu Ming's arm went numb and he retreated quickly. What powerful battle strength! Lu Ming was slightly shocked. This woman's cultivation was only at first-tier virtual G.O.D. level, but her divine power was condensed and strong. Her attack power was shocking and she could actually suppress Lu Ming. Forcing Lu Ming back, the woman charged at him again. She waved her long sword and hundreds of sword lights burst out, shrouding Lu Ming. Boom. At this moment, Lu Ming finally activated the double combat power of the battle character formula. His combat sword shook and rays of sword light burst out, clashing with the woman. Clang, clang. The speed of their attacks was shockingly fast, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of moves. After dozens of exchanges, the two were both pushed back hundreds of meters. They were evenly matched. Could it be a genius from the Yuanluo Palace? Lu Ming thought in his heart. Now he had activated the double combat strength of the battle formula. His combat strength was very close to the third level of the Void G.O.D. realm and he could kill people at the second level of the Void G.O.D. realm. However, this woman who was only at the first level of the Void G.O.D. realm was able to fight him to a draw. Lu Ming was shocked, but he did not know that the woman's heart was turmoil. How is that possible? How can be so powerful? The woman roared in her heart. Lu Ming's cultivation level was only at the transformation void martial stage and was far from the void G.O.D. stage. However, his combat strength was so strong that he could fight with her. It was simply unbelievable. The Tao of a sovereign. The power he controls is actually the Tao of a sovereign. There's actually a genius on the Tao of a sovereign on Shadowed Star. I can't believe the Yuanluo Palace has such a genius. I must get rid of him. Many thoughts flashed through the woman's mind. Then a ruthless look appeared in her eyes. She gritted her teeth, raised her long sword and charged at Lu Ming again. However, the moment the woman made her move, their expressions changed. In the distance, a few beams of light rose from the stellar iron mine. It was obvious that the battle here had been discovered. Chapter 2575 Escape Plan. You have a way? The young woman's face was full of doubt, obviously not believing him. Lu Ming had a way to save the people of the righteous army and take back the interplanetary warship? How was that possible? Although Lu Ming was terrifyingly talented, his cultivation level was still low. At most, his combat strength was on par with hers. What could she do? One should know that there were at least a few 9th-tier virtual G.O.D. level powerhouses in the stellar iron ore. As for the 7th-tier and 8th-tier virtual G.O.D. level powerhouses, Lu Ming would probably be killed with one slap if he went there. Sometimes you don't need to rely on force to save people. Let me show you something and you'll know. Lu Ming smiled. He waved his hand and a person appeared in his hand. This man was the young master of the Yuanluo Palace, Kong Long. I'm alone. At first, the young woman was stunned, but then her beautiful pupils suddenly enlarged. The young master of the Yuanluo Palace, Kong Long? The young woman gasped. She had never expected to meet Kong Long here. You've seen it before? Lu Ming asked. I've seen him a few times. The woman said. She seemed to have thought of something and a bright smile appeared on her face. Kong Long had been locked up by Lu Ming for more than half a year and was already in a daze. He was stunned for a while before he could see the situation clearly. Brat, you're dead. I'm telling you, you're dead. Let me go or I'll make sure you don't even have a corpse left. Tongxi, what are you doing here? When Kong Long first saw Lu Ming, he shouted at the top of his lungs. Then his gaze swept past the young lady and he was stunned. Kong Long, I didn't expect you to end up like this. He looks like I'm quite lucky. Tongxi sized up Kong Long and sneered. What are you trying to do? Kong Long's face paled. You speak too much nonsense. Lu Ming said. He waved his hand and kept Kong Long. My cultivation isn't high enough. Even with Kong Long, I'm afraid I'll be killed instantly if I encounter an expert at or above the 7th level of the Void G.O.D. realm. However, you have a 9th level Void G.O.D. realm expert. If he uses Kong Long to exchange for the people of the Righteous Sky Army and the Starry Sky Warship, I'll have full confidence. Lu Ming said. This was his plan. If he could exchange Kong Long for the people of the Righteous Heaven Army and the interplanetary warship, he could leave Shadowed Star and owe the Righteous Heaven Army a favor. Why not? Alright, if I succeed this time, well, definitely be grateful. Tong Xier's face was also filled with joy. By the way, I'm Tong Xier. What's your name? Tong Xier asked. Lu Ming. Lu Ming answered. Brother Lu, let's go. I'll bring you to meet the people of our Jingtian army. Tong Xier said. It was really like he had worn out his iron shoes in a long search, but found it without any effort. Song Emo had mentioned before that the power created by the ancestor of technique was called the Righteous Army. Since this woman was from the Righteous Army, she could not die at the hands of the Yuanluo Palace. Lu Ming began to cast the battle formula, triggering the double combat strength. He was lucky this time. It only took 3 tricks and Lu Ming's combat strength was doubled. Lu Ming approached carefully. He suddenly burst out and charged forward. Who's there? As soon as Lu Ming made his move, the other party noticed him. A second-level Void G. Oh. D-Realm burly man berated him and turned around to attack. However, the other party had attacked in a hurry and could not block Lu Ming. He was sent flying by Lu Ming's sword. Then Lu Ming continued to step forward and strike with his sword. Blood splattered everywhere. The burly man was killed by Lu Ming. After killing the burly man, Lu Ming charged towards another second-level Void G. Oh, D-level burly man. It's him. The young woman's eyes lit up when she saw Lu Ming. Her body flashed rapidly as she dodged the attack of the third-level virtual G. Oh. D-level powerhouse. Without the 2 second-level Void G. Oh. D-Realm men's attacks, the woman's pressure was greatly reduced. She dodged a few of her opponent's attacks and her situation was much better. Brat, you're looking for death. The third-level Void G. Oh. D-Realm burly man roared and charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming turned around and left. He did not want to confront the other party head-on. The burly man roared and chased after the woman, but she had already run far away. Lu Ming did not linger in the battle. He sprinted at top speed and then made an R in the air, chasing after the woman. After the 2 big men chased for a while, they seemed to have some apprehensions and didn't dare to continue chasing. Instead, they stopped and sent out a message. Lu Ming followed the young lady and ran for more than 100,000 miles. At this moment, the young woman stopped and looked at Lu Ming. Although you saved me, you don't have to keep following me. What do you want? You're from the Righteous Army? Lu Ming asked. The woman's expression changed slightly. That's right. I'm very curious. Who are you? The people from the Yuanluo Palace seem to want to deal with you too. You're really from the Righteous Army. I'm from the same hometown as the ancestor of technique. Can you take me to see him? Lu Ming was overjoyed. Ancestor of technique? Who is it? The woman frowned in confusion. And you don't know about the ancestor of technique? The ancestor of technique was the one who created the Righteous Army. Lu Ming said. You mean the general? You're from the same hometown as the general? The woman was puzzled. This is true. Now the entire dark underworld star is hunting me down. Lu Ming said. Regardless of whether you are from the same hometown as the general, it is a fact that you and the Yuanluo Palace are enemies. The enemy of an enemy is a friend. However, it is impossible for me to bring you to the general now. The woman shook her head and sighed. What's going on? Lu Ming had a bad premonition. Last time some of us came to attack the Star Iron Mine on the Dark Underworld Star, planning to take away a batch of their iron ores. However, we didn't expect that the other party had set up an ambush in advance. A part of us died in battle, a part of us were captured by the other party, and only a part of us managed to escape. The senior who controlled the Starry Sky battleship has also been captured by the enemy. Now the Starry Sky battleship is in their hands. If we want to escape from the Underworld Star, we have to rescue the Righteous Army and take back the Starry Sky battleship. The woman said. Lu Ming was really speechless. It wasn't Kazi for him to meet the people of the Righteous Army, but they ended up like him, trapped and unable to escape. Now there are many experts from the Yuanluo Palace in the Stellar Iron Mine. They are waiting for us to attack so that they can catch us all in one fell swoop. I have been looking for news in this area. The woman said. Lu Ming finally understood why the woman attacked him the moment she saw him. She probably thought he was from the Yuanluo Palace and wanted to capture him for information. What's the cultivation level of the strongest expert in the Stellar Iron Mine? Lu Ming pondered for a moment and asked. 9th level Void G. Oh, D realm. The woman said. Then what cultivation level did your people who escaped have? Lu Ming asked again. There's also a 9th level virtual G. Oh, D, but there's only one of them. On the other hand, there are several 9th level virtual G. Oh, D level powerhouses in the stellar iron mine. Therefore we're no match for them at all. The woman said. There's also a 9th level ethereal G. Oh, D realm expert. Pa, that's enough. I can help you save your people and take back the interplanetary warship. Lu Ming burst out laughing. Swipe left to continue. Chapter 2576 Crossing the Starry Sky. Alright, there's no time to waste. We'll set off to save them now. Do you follow me? Deputy General Sun took Kong Long and looked at the two men. The two men were at the 8th level of the Void G. Oh, D realm. They were the two with the highest cultivation apart from Deputy General Sun. Immediately, the three of them carried Kong Long and flew away. Lu Ming did not need to care about what happened after that. He believed that Deputy General Sun and the rest would definitely have a way to successfully exchange for the people from the Righteous Sky Army and the interplanetary warship. Kong Long was the young master of the Yuanluo Palace. The people of the palace would not dare to reject the exchange of hostages. Lu Ming and the rest only had to wait quietly. In less than a day, Deputy General Sun and the others returned with more than 20 other people. It was a success. Lu Ming knew that Deputy General Sun and the rest had succeeded. Let's go, we have to leave the underworld star. The people of the Origin Luo Palace will definitely hunt us down. Deputy General Sun said. With a wave of his hand, a small boat appeared in the sky. The shape of the boat was very strange. It did not look like a boat, but rather similar to the breaking shuttle that Lu Ming had seen in the Yuan continent. Both ends were pointed, forming the shape of a shuttle. It was pitch black in color and had strange runes carved all over its surface. Lu Ming knew that this was probably an interplanetary warship, a warship that could travel in the universe. Lu Ming's heart was burning. The price of such a warship would definitely be astonishingly high. This was because true DS could only stay in the universe for a short period of time. They were unable to cross the universe. Only sky celestials had the ability to travel across the starry sky from one planet to another. From this, it could be seen how precious this kind of starry sky battleship was. If he could have one, he would be able to travel freely in the universe. As soon as the interplanetary warship appeared in the sky, it expanded rapidly. All of you come in. Deputy General Sun said. Buzz. Buzzard. Buzz. Everyone's figures flickered as they rushed into the interplanetary warship. Deputy General Sun was the last to enter. After he entered the Starry Sky battleship, the Starry Sky battleship turned into a rainbow light and shot into the sky at an astonishing speed. Whoosh. The Starry Sky battleship shot into S.P. like a beam of light. Very quickly, it broke through the atmosphere and headed towards the outer V. On the walls of the starship, there were pieces of transparent crystals. Through the crystals one could see the outside. Lu Ming looked outside through the crystal. Then her figure flashed and she headed in a direction. Lu Ming followed Tong Xia closely. Neither of them flew in the air. Instead they ran on the ground. However, their speed was also very fast. After running for a few hours, the two of them arrived at a rather remote canyon. Who is it? Stop. A middle-aged man shouted as soon as the two of them arrived. He appeared in front of them and blocked them. Uncle Lu, it's me. Tong Xia said. When the middle-aged man saw that it was Tong Xia, he smiled. Then he glanced at Lu Ming and a hint of wariness appeared in his eyes. Who is he? He asked. He couldn't help but be on his guard. This was Planked Underworld, the territory of the Yuanluo Palace. The Righteous Army and the Yuanluo Palace were sworn enemies. The remaining members of the Righteous Army were all here. Now that he saw a strange man, he naturally had to be on guard. Uncle Lu, his name is Lu Ming, he is also an enemy of the Yuanluo Palace. He has a way to help us save Uncle W. and G and the others. Tong Xia said. Has a way to save her? The middle-aged man's eyes were filled with suspicion. He could tell at a glance that Lu Ming was only at the transformation void martial stage. Such a cultivation was not worth mentioning in his eyes. How could he possibly have a way to save their companions? Don't be fooled by him. He might be from the Yuanluo Palace to win your trust. At this point, the middle-aged man's face turned ugly. If that was the case, they were all in danger. His body was already filled with cold killing intent, ready to attack at any time. Uncle Lu he has the young master of the Yuanluo Palace, Kong Long. Tong Shi hurriedly said. The young master of the Yuanluo Palace, Kong Long? The middle-aged man's aura immediately weakened, and his face was filled with bewilderment. If Lu Ming really had Kong Long, he would definitely not be from the Yuanluo Palace. Even if it was to capture them, he would not use Kong Long to risk his life. It was impossible. This was also the reason why Tong Shi could bring Lu Ming here without worry. That's right. Kong Long is in my book. Miss Shi has already read it. Lu Ming immediately told him his plan. Good. Brother Lu Ming, I misunderstood you just now. I'm sorry. The middle-aged man laughed in embarrassment. I'm fine. Lu Ming smiled. Under such circumstances, it was normal for the other party to be more cautious. I'll take you to see Deputy General Sun, the middle-aged man said. Then he led Lu Ming and Tong Shi into the depths of the canyon. Deep in the canyon, Lu Ming saw a group of people. There were about 30 of them. They were all experts, and all of them were at the 3rd level of the Void D realm or above. Among these people, Tong Shi's cultivation was the weakest. Deputy General Sun, the middle-aged man, and Tong Shi bowed to one of the gray-robed elders. This gray-robed old man was Deputy General Sun. The highest position in the Righteous Heaven Army was the general, who was also the ancestor of technique. Below the general there were some deputy generals, and below them there were the generals and deputy generals. This old man was a deputy general and a 9th level Void D realm existence. When the people in the canyon saw Lu Ming, they were all on guard. However, when Tong Shi and the others said that Lu Ming had Kong Long, they were all overjoyed. Lu Ming waved his hand and Kong Long appeared. It's really Kong Long. I've seen him once. We're saved. When the righteous army saw Kong Long, they were all ecstatic. He was no longer on guard against Lu Ming. Kong Long's face turned pale when he saw so many righteous army soldiers. Al cowered and did not dare to shout anymore. Senior, I'll have to trouble you. Lu Ming said Kong Long to Deputy General Sun. Lu Ming, if we can escape this time, you can state any conditions you have. Deputy General Sun laughed. Junior's condition is very simple. I just want to leave with you all, and then I need a place to settle my family and friends. Lu Ming said. That's easy. Our Jingtian army has occupied more than a dozen life planets. We don't have much else, but we have a huge territory. You can choose whatever you want. Deputy General Sun grinned and took Kong Long. 3 pounds. Chapter 2577. Meeting the ancestor of technique. After arriving at the living room, Lu Ming and Tong Shi chatted casually and waited. Not long after, a shadow flashed outside the living room and a figure suddenly appeared. It was a man who looked to be in his 30s. He was wearing a black robe and had a handsome and elegant appearance, giving off a gentle feeling. She greets the general. When she saw this young man, Tong Shi hurriedly stood up and bowed. This man was the general of the Righteous Heaven Army, the ancestor of technique of the Heaven Realm, the legendary figure who had founded the cultivation system of the nomological laws. No need to be so polite. I'm here to meet my fellow villager. The ancestor of technique laughed and walked in. Lu Ming greets the ancestor of technique. Lu Ming also stood up and bowed. It was his first time meeting this legendary figure and he was very excited. No need to be so polite, no need to be so polite. The ancestor of technique waved his hand and a gentle force lifted Lu Ming up. It's been many years since someone called me by this T. In the future you can call me general like everyone else. The ancestor of technique smiled and sized Lu Ming up carefully. He has the aura of the Heaven Realm. He's indeed from the Heaven Realm. He has even cultivated the system of laws and condensed a small world. The ancestor of technique murmured. He looked at Lu Ming with an increasingly friendly gaze. Lu Ming, how did you get out of the Heaven Realm? What happened in the Heaven Realm? I once sneaked into the dark underworld star, but the sage to the Heaven Realm has been sealed, so I can't even get in. The ancestor of technique asked a few questions. It was clear that he was not calm either. Lu Ming understood that the ancestor of technique must have returned to the shadowed star after his cultivation had improved. However, the Pas sage was sealed by ancestral dragon and patriarch of prison suppression with heaven suppression talismans. The ancestor of technique was too strong, and if he broke the seal by force he would destroy the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil G.O.D. realm. Senior, it's like this. Immediately Lu Ming gave a brief account of what had happened in the heaven realm and the evil G.O.D. realm. I see. After the ancestor of technique heard this, he nodded and sighed. Senior, I've brought out most of the divine beasts and humans in the heaven realm and the primordial realm. In a few months, our small world will merge with the primeval universe. We need a place to settle these living beings, Lu Ming said. That's easy. I'll pick a place for you immediately. The ancestor of technique laughed. The true heaven star was astonishingly large, several times larger than the dark underworld star. Lu Ming came from a small kiliacosm and was from the same hometown as the general of the righteous army. Their attitude towards Lu Ming changed completely. They treated Lu Ming as one of their own. A few months said in the blink of an eye. A huge planet appeared in front of them. This planet was the True Heaven Star. True Heaven Star was named after the True Heaven Army occupied this place, so it was naturally not called this before. What a huge planet. From afar, Lu Ming could feel that the True Heaven Star was astonishingly huge. Its size was at least a few times larger than the shadowed star. It gave a strong visual impact. The starship slowed down and slowly approached True Sky Star. Slowly Lu Ming could see mountains, rivers, and even huge cities on the True Heaven Star. Not long after, they entered the atmosphere of True Sky Star. At this time, Deputy General Sun put away the interplanetary warship, and they appeared in the air. What a dense divine qi. Lu Ming took a deep breath and felt that the divine qi here was extremely rich. Was more than twice as rich as on the underworld star. Such a cultivation environment was simply too good. Let's go. Deputy General Sun took the lead and flew toward a mountain peak. Lu Ming and the rest followed. This mountain peak was extremely wide, and on top of it, there were many palaces that were majestic and magnificent. Between the mountain peaks, experts were constantly flying around. So many experts. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. At a glance he could see that most of the city's virtual G.O.D. level existences were there. There were only a few below virtual G.O.D. level. However, Lu Ming also understood that this should be the headquarters of the righteous army. There would naturally be many experts here. There would definitely not be so many experts in other places. Soon they arrived at a square. Bring Lu Ming to the living room and wait. I'll report to the general. He'll be very happy to know that a fellow villager has come. Deputy General Sun said. All right. Tong Xir nodded, then looked at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, come with me. Let's go to the living room. All right. Lu Ming nodded and followed Tong Xir. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.